it's not a third world country, so the choice is from 140 something now into some 50, right? 40 something. Which one? I think most of the non-third world countries are in Australia, New Zealand, Japan, North America, and Europe, right? Where else do we find developed nation? So think of this one. Okay, I give you a clue. Okay, it's in Europe. But Europe has a lot of countries. Okay, but that will help. It's a little bit like during Chinese New Year, right? When you all receive red envelope. Do you still receive red envelope? Yes? Do you compare with your brother or sister? Okay, so that's about the same. And then you have to use Hong Kong idea. Yeah. Okay, 比利时, huh? So you're comparing, right? So the same thing. Okay. So Belgium. Okay. Again, some third world country issues. First one, should we trust the Thai yellow shirt leader or Abishi? Because what happened to him is he said, oh, we might not have the election. You know, the Red Army has been dispersed, right? Go away, went home. So we promise about election? Probably not. Okay, so that's one. Never trust your political leader. Okay, when the pressure removed, they will renege. Remember this word. And renege, this is a word you play bridge, you cannot do it. If you play Chinese chess, you're not supposed to do it. What is it? What is renege in your dictionary? It should be something like the move you made. You said, oh, I don't want to make that move. Let me take it back. 中文是什么？有一点像棋走无回大丈夫，但是他棋手有回啦。中文是什么 ？renege。食言 ，OK。Eating your words, okay. So that's it, okay. So 食言 okay. I think the Thai Prime Minister 食言 right? Okay. So that's one issue. It's dying. No, so no more. Second issue, Korea. I think it's okay now, because South Korea said, "Hey, China, you have to condemn North Korea." China said, "But I know North Korea is an SOB, but it's my SOB." So China would not condemn South Korea, North Korea. So South Korea said, "Okay, if China, as the mafia, head of the mafia, 大哥要保护小弟." Okay, then South Korea probably would not do anything now. Okay? If you read one of my colleagues comparing South Korea, North Korea, Japan, and then China and US, saying basically it's manga. Okay, so 小弟要找大哥出面 right? Sometimes 大哥要打一打自己人，可是 but China doesn't even want to, slap the face of North Korea. So what happened is South Korea said few things. One is they're not going to use loudspeaker to send propaganda to North Korea. Because North Korea said, you know, if we raise the loudspeakers, they're going to shoot down the loudspeaker. What's that mean? But that's one. Secondly, there was a special economic zone set up by South Korean businessmen inside North Korea. And it was supposed to close, but South Korea said, no, it will keep it open. So I don't think there will be a fight. So we don't have to worry about this one. Again, this is a part of the problem in some African countries, border dispute. How do you determine the border? The border has been artificially set up by the powers. Okay? South Korea, North Korea after the Korean War. What is the line? They separate the two. 董彦成，尤惠宇，你知道吗？施一方。Do you know the line? North Korea and South Korea basically being separated by, what is the line? You know, if we talk about, you know, the line, longitude, and you don't know the line. Have you heard of 38 degree? Okay, 38 line. So, but that's how they set up the line, right? 38 degree. And that's artificial. You have to remember this. So if you, how do you do it? Okay, if you have this line between North Korea and South Korea like this, they say it's about this line, right? 38. And then this is the peninsula. And then you go to the Yellow Sea here. How do you separate, okay, the line? So it's very difficult. It's almost like, where is the middle line in the Taiwan Strait? You're just go, you know, like the same distance between Taiwan and China in the middle. That's it. That's the middle line. How do you do it? Sometimes it's difficult. Okay, so that's borderline issue. That I think has something to do with the post-World War II scenario. Okay, so that's South Korea and North Korea. But the biggest issue the past 2 days is not Korea. Actually, someone died. What conflict? We're going to talk one of them today, but what's the other one? Some countries have, we call sanction. I love sanction. Remember that word sanction? You know, if someone is bad, like you're dating someone you're not supposed to date. Your mom said you're grounded. Okay, you're grounded. Sometimes you cannot even have access to a lot of things. So you need help. You said, well, this is a violation of my human rights, right? So someone will try to help you by breaking the blockade set up by your parents. Blockade. Do your parents do blockade? 封锁？没有啊，没有封锁你们的电话线。No? Okay. I'll tell you a story. When I was a graduate student, one time I visited a friend of mine who worked for a company, electronic company. And he said, oh, you happen to be looking for a job. Why don't you, we are having an interview here. Why don't you just have an interview here? So maybe, you know, we will be working for the same company. I said, but hey, they are interviewing secretary. Okay, again, traditional view of secretary is female, right? But somehow that boss just said, yeah, okay, you know, your English is fine, so you can work as secretary. And then once I went in there, I found out the reason the secretary quit is because the boss' wife came to the office suspecting secretary and the boss having some kind of relations, okay? So I went there, and then the very next day, started to work. The boss' wife is in his office, interceding every phone call come in. like she will listen first. Like, who's calling my husband? So that's the reason I got the job, because the boss said, okay, now my secretary is a boy, okay, instead of a girl. So that's the reason I got the job. But I also tell you this blockade. She is interceding, will not allow anything coming in. So the same thing happened in Israel, right? Israel is blockading what group of people? You don't care about Israel. Israel has shared its land with which group of people? Palestinians. Okay. Palestine, right? Palestinians. And there are two major areas of Palestinians concentration. One is we call the West Bank of Jordan River, share, in that area. And the other one we call Gaza Strip, 加沙走廊. Okay, Gaza Strip is controlled by a more militant group. Okay, called Hamas. Okay, so and the West Bank is called Fatah. Okay, one is Fatah, one is Hamas. Okay, what's the difference here? Both are Palestinian groups. Fatah said, okay, we recognize the Israeli have a right to exist. Hamas said, no, we're going to destroy Israel. Okay, so it's part inside Israel, but they want to destroy Israel, and sometimes they will fire rockets to Israeli territory. So they have been blockaded by Israel. Okay, from the southwest, they're very close to Egypt. They set up blockade. So goods cannot go into Gaza from Egypt. And then from the sea, the ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, ships coming in, also being blockaded. But this time, okay, yesterday, you have 6 ships from Turkey, humanitarian, okay, sending goods to Gaza Strip to help the Palestinians, and Israeli landed on one of them and shot, probably killing, some people said 10, some people said 20, we don't know exact number, okay, of those workers there on ship. So this one is also in the open sea, 公海. It's not in the Israeli, territorial water. It's in the open sea. So big problem here between Israel and Palestine. Again, this is a problem left by colonial time. Okay, Great Britain during the colonial time, was in charge of the Palestine and gave it the independence to Israel, but having some problem with the Arabs there. There are settlement problems. So Israel is going to face this problem of one country within a country, 2 states. Okay, hey, we talk about in Taiwan, 两国论. 两国论 is so welcome in Middle East because the Arabs will not acknowledge the Israeli have the right to exist. And Israel said, if you don't recognize my right to exist, I will not recognize Palestinians' right to exist. But somehow in the past few years, the Israel already said, we will accept a Palestinian state. So you have 2 states. So 两国论 is good in the Middle East. But now you have more trouble. So that's another question. Okay. Now, another country in the news, a third world country in Central America. Which one? Mudsliding. Guatemala. Okay, Guatemala is the one suffer earthquake, I think earlier, and then a volcano, and now you have mudsliding. So today we want to look at some of the problem in the third world, especially we call some of the environmental issues. Okay, now whenever you think of mudsliding, mostly where? Where will you think of mudsliding? Yang Lide. Yeah, where do you think? You understand mudsliding? I'm so fortunate right now. I go on the website to see, how much rain in Taiwan that you're going to, maybe expecting mudslide in your area. The place I live is not on that list. Okay, but mudsliding. Okay, but what countries in the third world you have heard about mudsliding? For example, I haven't heard of mudsliding in Malaysia. Okay, mudsliding, you have to have some rain. I don't think it's not going to be in Egypt. Mexico sometimes, okay, and also Central America a lot, mudsliding, okay. Nicaragua has that before. Guatemala, El Salvador, they all, some Central American countries experience mudsliding. Southeast Asian countries, a lot of them as well. Philippines, okay, Indonesia, Taiwan, and then you have also like some Caribbean countries as well, okay, because of the tropical storms. So those are the area you will have mudsliding. But then you also have flooding. Okay, what countries are most likely in the third world you have heard about flooding? 吴家豪、罗玉、李俊德 yeah. Bangladesh. Okay, why always Bangladesh? Okay, now, well, right now at least this is good. Flooding is not only in third world, also in Europe. Oh, good. You feel good, right? Saying, so what? You European, you think you're better? Flooding. Look at Germany had flooding. Czechoslovakia had flooding. So at least, but Bangladesh is always one. Okay, we think of flooding, it's Bangladesh, India area, and then some African countries sometimes. Okay. What's the problem? 陈永元、朱军伟 doing well. 罗志远、曾一平。这个是 this is the correct one, right? 杨文挺。Any problem for North African countries? What kind of environmental problem they have? I don't think they have flooding. I don't think they have mudsliding. Drought. Yes, they do. They have drought, but what's the biggest problem they have? Is they have a lot of deserts, right? But desert, everywhere you have desert. But the problem in sub-Saharan Africa is what? It's a little bit like China. You know the problem like a few years ago or last year, do we have that? No, just a few months ago we have that, right? The sandstorm from Beijing. Ooh, I remember that my car was dirty. Wow. Okay, so what do we call that kind of phenomenon? That the desert has a life. It's now in its teenage year. It's growing. It's expanding. Have you? But basically, what we're talking about, you have the desert is growing bigger than before, expanding. Yeah, desertification, right? So you have the problem of desertification. And that's a third world problem. Now, question, Liu Suhong, why desertification? Okay, or China is having that as well, right? And you know, Beijing, sorry, you know, when the sandstorm come, you know, it's just very bad. So what did they do? Yeah, so, okay, so overgrazing, that's one. What else? Overdevelopment, and what else? Okay, overgrazing, overdevelopment. Overgrazing means all the grass gone, right? Development, what did overdevelopment do? Okay, that's another one. That's you know, exhausting the water. But what about, you know, what's the remedy? What does China do right now, trying to stop this? How does China stop desertification? Yeah, how do you do it? You grow trees, right? But what happened to the trees? Okay, well, you know, those trees will help to stop. But obviously, in Africa, some of the trees have been cut down because of development. So once you don't have the tree to stop, you know, somehow like the desert has a life. It's almost like, hey, why don't we move here? No, here, you know, just stretching up, right? So that's how the desert grows. So if you have trees, somehow you can stop that. But the problem in Africa, one is some of the better trees, real good trees, they're trees for furniture, are being being cut down by, example I'll give you, like Liberia. Liberia is a very green country. In Africa, has a lot of trees, but you know who are cutting down the trees? Cutting down the tall trees. No. How many of you seen that movie? Hotel Rwanda? No? So do you know what cut down the tall trees mean? Killing the Tutsis, right? That's this. But cutting down the trees in Africa, hey, Hong Kong people, Hong Kong business, Hong Kong love, we call 原木家具, right? So that's how you got those cutting down the trees. So once the trees being cut down, the replacement will take decades. And so it will be very difficult. So that's one reason for the desertification. At least we know the problem, okay, in Africa, the problem in Central Asia, this problem in China. You have desertification, okay? And another third world countries is the one they have forests before and now being cut down as well. We call deforestation. Some African countries that will stop the desertification is not there. But what's the most famous deforestation in the world right now? Liu Yulan. Yeah. The most famous deforestation. You understand forest? Forest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. No, not the same forest, but you understand forest. 去阿甘化. No, what is deforestation? 中文叫什么？去林化。真的有这样字吗？ What's the Chinese word for deforestation? Can you? 这样子叫砍伐森林，怎么没有化了？不是 everything is zation is 化啊？砍伐森林不能化啊。 Okay, so you understand which country is most famous that we all worry about that? Brazil, right? Brazil is really for development, and also people talking about we call the logging industry, LOG, logging, and it will be very difficult to grow back all those forests, all those huge big trees. So that's another problem. Okay, deforestation, and that's why most recently what do we said about we call carbon, balance, that if somehow you have to create more carbon, what do you need to do? You said, well, I'm going to plant a tree in Guatemala. I'm going to plant a tree in Brazil. So you almost like adopt a tree. In Taiwan, do we have that? Adopt a tree. Do you do that anymore? Like March 12, anyone planted a tree on March 12? Gosh, I did that one time when I was with the, working as a university administrator. We have to do that. 政大校长带一堆这种什么行政主管 ，right? And then 政大10小同学一起去种树。I planted a plum tree, I think. 梅花吧 ，okay. But I don't know whether the tree survived or not. But that's how you plant trees. Deforestation, that's another big problem in the third world. Again, why it's the third world? Why not the first world? We also know that in America, they have a lot of good trees in America. In the West Coast, like California, like Oregon has a lot of trees. So why third world is the target? 叶腾辉有在吗？李庆恩 ，Yeah. Why? Okay, so they don't use theirs. They're exploiting other countries. Basically, that's the case. Okay? And then you have to think of this. And now they are asking, they are also telling the third world countries, saying, you are destroying forest, you are destroying all this, and you have to stop the environment. You cannot develop anymore. Now, the third world country will say, wait a second, you already have your development, and you create so much carbon, and now you're asking us to stop our development. It's almost like what? Almost like you already had enough of those nice fatty pork in Taiwan, like东坡肉，还有什么好吃的？无锡排骨 ，okay. And then you tell your kids that no, these are not very healthy for you. Okay, we should be eating more vegetable. And the kids said, but I want to taste those. No, those are not good for you. Right? That's why I think the first world is telling the third world, say, no, don't develop. Don't cut down the trees. Don't do all these things because we need all this for the global warming issues, right? But the third world said, I haven't enjoyed my life yet. Did your parents say something like that before? My wife would not give my kids some of the Chinese snack. When we were in the U.S., when they were little boys, very small, like 6 years old, my wife is eating her 橄榄, 酸梅, and my son said, Mom, I want those. No, this is Chinese medicine. Not good for you. Okay, so that's basically, I think that's the first world idea of stopping the third world, saying you cannot do that. Okay, so deforestation, desertification, those are the two big problems in the third world. And then one more. Okay, And also, another environmental issue is the poverty and the land use pattern. Okay, especially how the agricultural land have been replaced, or we call staple food, has been replaced by cash crop. Now, what's wrong with cash crop? Qiu Guanqun, what's wrong with you understand cash crop? What is cash crop? 经济作物. Can you give me an example of that? Corn. Corn is both, I think. You know, corn can be a cash crop, but can also be staple food, right? Well, Mexican like to use the corn flour to make, things to eat. So corn is staple food as well. But what's the more typical cash crop? Cotton is one. What else? Coffee. Tea. Sorry, tea is also. Okay. And also the biggest agriculture of Taiwan is also cash crop. Betel nut. Binglang. Okay, that's a cash crop. Okay, so betel nut, coffee, tea, cocoa, cotton, all this up. But then what's the problem with this? If you're planting those, okay, you said you're eating, you have less food production. That's a problem. But what has that to do with environment, Ms. Cho? Like growing cotton, or let's say growing coffee and growing rice. What's the difference? It's just they all grow, come out of the earth. Cash crop. It's a little bit like, playing baseball on artificial turf and playing baseball on natural grass. I don't know whether you understand the analogy here, but it's a little bit like that. 你有没有听过打棒球，在那个人工草皮跟天然草地有什么不同？ Anyone about the baseball? Why Minnesota Twins no longer play on artificial turf? 你们知道吧？双城队现在又换回草地了，啊，很多球队本来是 artificial turf, remove them, grow grass again. Why? I thought we are intelligent baseball fan in Taiwan because we have Guo Hongzhi, we have Ni Fude, we have Wang Jianming, right? So what happened? 不是我们现在对清华大学的同学应该是研究那个草坪要怎么割，要割多少，王建平滚地球的速度会 slow down, double play 的机会多少。That's how I mean. This is for Tsinghua student, and what kind of grass, you should grow for what kind of stadium. Huh? Okay, the reason artificial turf is going to hurt your feet. Somehow natural grass is much better. For running. If you run on artificial turf, I'm sorry, you have less energy left in your leg after 10 years. Okay, now that's for someone who used the land. But coffee and tea and rice, okay, or wheat, cash crop depleted the nutrient of the soil faster than the staple food. Okay, so if you're going to grow cash crop, and then you have to leave the land fallow for many years so that it can recover. Okay? So it's not good for the land because all the nutrients are easily depleted. That's why we don't want, especially the worst one is not coffee, it's not tea. Which one is the worst cash crop? That really, it's like after the land grow this kind of cash crop, it has to lay waste for many years before you can use that for let's say rice production. Which one? It's the one that if you try it, I call this. In German it says Zigaretten schaden deine Gesundheit. That's the only German I can speak. Okay, I only know one sentence of German. It's Zigaretten schaden deine Gesundheit. No. What is you know cigarette? What is cigarette? Cigaretten. Cigarette. Cigarettes. Smoking cigarettes is harmful to your health. Okay, so that's Zigaretten schaden deine Gesundheit. Gesundheit is always like to your health. Gesundheit. So here, what is that cash crop? Nicotine from where? Yeah, 烟草什么? Tobacco. Okay, so tobacco is the worst one. Okay, in terms of being a cash crop that will deplete. So, but then the problem here is what? You go to Rwanda, you go to other places. Vietnam is a big coffee producer. Why? Because coffee is more profitable than growing rice. Okay, so, and then the land has been, if all the land used to grow, okay, we have an example of what hurting our environment, bitter nut, right? We talk about bitter nut a lot in Taiwan, really hurting our environment. How does bitter nut hurt our environment? 廖雨晴. Yeah, how does that hurt Taiwan's environment? Bitter nut. Because, people chew bitter nut. They spit. And it's rare. It's not good for the environment. No, tourists used to think Taiwan's taxi driver works so hard. They even spit blood. No. How does bitter nut hurt our environment? Well, the problem, at least in Taiwan, you heard about bitter nut in Nantou County or in Pingdong. Usually people say, oh, it's the reason, the number one problem for Taiwan's mudsliding. Why? Okay, so it doesn't have very deep roots. It doesn't hold the soil very well, right? So that's a big problem in terms of bitter nut. So you understand, cash crop is nice. Well, we have another cash crop in Taiwan, I think, but I don't know about the environmental impact, called sanyao. A lot of people grow sanyao. I'm not sure about this, but you understand the problem of all those cash crops. Are not protecting the soil. They are depleting the nutrients inside, and they are replacing the area, the arable land that can grow food. If we want to feed people, we need more staple food. Staple food 中文叫什么？谷类的。稻米也是谷类 ，OK， 稻谷啊。So staple food, 麦、大麦、小麦。Okay, so those are staple. So you replacing those, And now the corn problem is corn can be a major diet. But now, what are the people doing? They say, oh, we can use corn to produce oil, energy, right? So that's another problem. So the pattern of land use is a big problem. And then the third problem in the third world, in terms of environment, is about the dam. Okay, the large dam. Now, what's wrong with dam? D-A-M. First of all, let me ask, how many of you are familiar with animal that can build dam? Which animal is famous for building dam? Yu Yuxin, Chen Zilin. Do you know which animal is famous for building dam? Yeah, okay. A beaver. Okay, beaver is famous for putting those trees and then building a dam. But why dam is a problem, Ms. Chen? Have you heard of Taiwan? Why people are against 美龙水库? But everybody love our Taipei's. What is Taipei's 水库 dam? 翡翠. Oh, because it's a jewel, so people like it. But what's wrong with dam? We were taught dam can have so many functions, providing electricity, providing irrigation, providing tourists, and also providing Taiwan's all those gourmet people who love to go to Shimen Dam to have 一鱼三吃的，现在几次了？4次啊？Okay. But I think everything was positive when I was growing up about dam. But why negative sometimes? Okay. You will hurt the environment because you are changing the pattern of the water flowing. And more importantly, what do we have? What's the big problem in Taiwan in terms of dam? Egypt has dam. Oh, how about China? People talk about, right, the Yangtze River have the dam. That's good. China needs some water because China has a environmental problem. In the north, it's usually drought. In the south, it's usually flooding. So they have this system called 南水北调, right? Using the south water and transfer the south water to the north. Okay, so that's China. But having dam, also people say environmental problem. Why? Anyone? Yeah. 淤积, okay, all the silt accumulate. But you can still clean that. Do we do that in Taiwan? Our Shimen Dam, I don't know, maybe 30% function or 40%, right? After a while, it becomes a problem. It becomes almost like, so if you look at some of this environmental problem, people said dam is a big problem. The textbook give you the case in India, okay? Dam is, but it's a big project. Everybody loves dam, don't you think? Opening, especially we think of the good movie called Superman. How many of you have seen the movie Superman? No. 你们没看过超人啊? Most people thought Superman is Dwight Howard nowadays. Huh? The Superman one, the very first one, talking about the Hoover Dam. America built a lot of dam in the 30s, so everybody think dam is the, leading the symbol of development. Taiwan, we have Shimen Dam, right? That's a symbol of development. In Hsinchu, you have 宝山. Oh, good. 还有什么宝山还有宝四，我还以为什么？真的有是不是？I think there are more than just 宝山水库 more than that, right? 还有什么？宝二 but this sign is mountain, so why they say 宝水 why they say people thought it's 3 and 2 宝山宝二宝山OK but 真的有一个宝二还是他们是宝儿 Nowadays, very difficult. Have you heard of TIFA? T-I-F-A? T-I-F-A? Taiwan Trade and Investment Framework Agreement that we want to sign with the United States. Okay. So, yesterday, I have to meet this American policy person. And people said, well, we need to raise this issue because we're having ACFA with China, and maybe United States would like to have this TIFA with Taiwan. We don't have FTA with US yet, but maybe we have this TIFA, Trade and Investment Framework Agreement. But I wasn't sure this TIFA, what this acronym really means. So I typed TIFA, try to make sure I have the right words. But then I typed, if you have a computer, you type TIFA, what you get? It's a model. The first picture, shall I show it here? Scare me. So I have already recommend our government to do this. So I thought TIFA is very important, right? What is it? TIFA is this one. It's what's... Okay, so my suggestion right now is for the KMT, our government said, you don't understand ACFA. Go on the website and check, and then get a model called ACFA. Would that help? Crazy. First, I thought, yesterday I said, maybe I typed it wrong, because first I typed like TIFA. No, got her. I said, maybe I need to type capitalized, and then the same thing. Okay, so crazy. But going back to the dam. Dam is a big problem because it is considered a symbol of development. Every country wants to do it. Okay, some of the most famous one in Egypt, the Anwa Dam in Egypt. Also in South America, in Brazil and Paraguay, you also have a dam there. So those are considered to be important development. Almost like nowadays, what would be the symbol of your development? It's like the highest building in the world, like 101 in Taiwan, right? Like the Twin Tower in Malaysia, or the Sears Tower in Chicago. Those are the ones. World Trade Center in New York. So those are big problem there. Okay, number 4 problem is the the economic growth, the impact of economic growth by structural adjustment. Okay, structural adjustment program really hurt the third world and creating some environmental problem. We will come back to this. But think of some of the word and then come back to me after the class. What is, in your view, sustainable development? We have a sustainable development department, I think, in the 行政院 in Taiwan, Executive Yuan. 永续发展. What do we mean by 永续发展? Okay? Maybe you can think of, consider this is your relationship with your boyfriend or girlfriend. You say, hey, 我们要永续发展. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, so, okay. relationship, 永续发展 means if I'm dating you, we are dating seriously. We're going to get married one day. right? That's you. But what is 永续发展 in your view?
Maybe it's have a balance between the industrial development and the environment.
Between industrialization or development and environment. Oh, you're so political. Now, this is every politician is saying, "Oh, we want to strike a balance." You know, oh, let's look at development of what 202, right? 南港那个叫什么？202兵工厂。Okay. Yeah, we can find some way to have both. Really? You can really have both? So what would be a nice? You say, well, you want to have some development, but you also want to protect environment, right? So what would be the best definition? Some people say, when you are having development right now, but you are jeopardizing, you are destroying the environment. We always talk about what? We leave all the problems, all the troubles we created to our descendants. 有听过吗？祸留子孙。Okay? So what will be a sustainable development? Sustainable development means having a nice life right now and leaving no problem for our kids. 这样子可以吗？这样算永续吧？享受当下，无祸留给子孙。Sustainable development. I'm serious. The English definition is a little bit like that. Okay, English definition about sustainable development is some kind of development that will meet the present need without jeopardizing, the life of the future. Meeting the present need. Okay, now, so then I think the big problem right now is what? I think we have to redefine our need, don't you think? I'm getting older. I witnessed this, this whole cycle of Taiwan's life. When I was little kids, we have a lot of bicycle. Riding a motorbike is wow, right? So when the motorbike started to come in Taiwan, and then you find out all those bicycle shops shut down. Okay, they immediately, you have to learn how to fix motorcycle in order to survive. So bicycle shop changed to motorcycle shop. And then, everybody has his own car, so we changed to auto shop, right? And then suddenly, in the past few years, going back to the bicycle shop. Well, it's a little bit different, but we're going back to the bicycle shop. And look at, your professor right now. I moved back to my parents used to live, which is in the middle of the town, and then I'm riding bike now. Okay, so I said, wow, this is a circle coming back to the original point. I was riding bike when I was a little kid in that area, and then now coming back here and then riding bike. So what do we mean by our present need? Meeting the need of the present without jeopardizing, the future. So what is the need for the present? We talk about a lot of, some of you in my other class before, we have the problem of carbon, all right? You understand carbon diet, right? Have you done carbon diet today? Yes or no? Means, did you do something that somehow save or reduce the emission of carbon? Like instead of watching television, you listen to the radio. I think that's carbon diet, don't you think? Radios, the energy use of radio is much smaller than television. That would be a carbon diet, right? So what is our present need? Do we need all these luxuries? What kind of things do we need? Should we go back to the earlier days? I have met one professor. I myself, I cannot do it. She never used air conditioning in Taiwan. Okay, she just used a fan. I went into her office like, is this in Africa? That we, do we have to do it? And you might have heard of her before, Linda Arrigo, Simingde's former wife. Hi, Linda. Okay, and she has a nice cat, and I think she is heavier than me. Okay, definitely will enjoy a air conditioner, but she is not. Okay, so she's just using the fan, and it's difficult for me, but this is carbon diet. So what is our present need? How many of you have more, or in your household, how many of you only one television set? Okay, how about those with two? No, nobody dare to raise. Okay, three. Okay, some three. So do we need all this television set? Yes, it's like I will be in many room, but you're only one person. But I happen to be in the kitchen. I need to watch. Right? I happen to be in what room I need to have it. Okay. So do we have to bring like a portable television, a portable air conditioner? So wherever you go, just close to me. So that's meeting the present need. Okay. So I think the big problem is how do we define the need? Okay. And people are cutting down the emission of carbon, but then going back to the question is, the first world got what they have now. And they made it by exploiting the third world. And the third world, especially people from China, saying we finally made it. And then people said, hey, you are the biggest or the second biggest carbon producer in the world. You need to cut down. Then the Chinese people look at America saying, why don't you cut down something? Look at your garage. Every family, at least 2 cars, right? Some 3, some 4, depending on how many kids they have. Every kid, like going to high school, it's almost like, Dad, I'm high school now. You don't want me to feel embarrassed. I need my own car. So I mean, it's like if the father dropping the son at the high school, that's so embarrassing. My son, I remember when he was 14 years old, the day when he has his birthday, the very next day, he go to take the driver, the learning permit. Okay, learning permit means he can drive, and then with an adult on his side. And then 2 years later, at the age of 16, they can have their driver license. Okay, so 16 years old, you have your driver license, and you go to high school, you go to college. You're still sent by your parent. Some kids will feel. So that's a big problem. That's a waste, right? All these cars. So can you ask the first world ask the third world to cut down their emission of carbon and justify, saying, well, we made a mistake, but don't you think the first world should do something first themselves? Instead of asking the third world. The third world has not enjoyed their life yet. Okay, so Qiu Yaxuan. Yeah. What's your view on this? Should the third world at least enjoy a little bit of that? Okay, I'll give you an example of the third world country called Zhengda. Okay, Zhengda used to be a third world country. Why? Because when the MRT from Muzha supposed to go through Zhengda, And Zhengda professor said, no, we don't want MRT. Hey, finally, we are driving car to the campus. What do we mean? Are they asking us to take the MRT again? We are finally, Taiwan is, this was in the late 80s, 1980s, right? And early 1990s. People said, we finally get rich a little bit. We're having our own car. We're driving. We feel good. And then suddenly you have this mass transit system coming in. Like, what's the good? And now what happened? Zhengda is begging the Taipei city government, said, would you please, set a line to come to our university? Okay. So, but earlier, Zhengda people said, well, we don't want this. We want to look good. We are driving to school. So that's a third world mentality, right? That's what they did, because most of the professors went to the United States, get a degree. They said, wow, we drove a car, and now we're back to Taiwan, and Taiwan is good enough, so we can also drive car. Otherwise, think of Taiwan. The professors are taking the bus. Zhengda's famous story is our ex-vice president of Taiwan, Li Yuanchu. Have you heard of this vice president under Li Denghui? Okay, he was Minister of Education, and when he returned to Zhengda, we met him on bus. Okay, he's not using the car; he's taking the bus. So, and then graduate students go to the United States, buy a big car. I think the professor will feel not very balanced here. I'm taking the bus, and my student, go to U.S. and study, they got a car. So it's important to have a car. And now they regret. So my question for you is, should the third world country now at least give them moments of enjoyment? Yeah, like a few years of enjoyment. Like China, never been rich before. Never know the feeling, of, driving big car. I can tell you one thing. I have driven big car before, and you really feel different. Oh, big car, okay? We always said, they are drinking gas like drinking water. But it feels good. Don't you think they deserve some of this? India, China. Well, no, I'm just asking you, because you don't know. You were born when Taiwan has become a semi-periphery, I think, or at least, close to core now. We were born at a time, right, when we don't have a lot of things. So we feel that maybe, yeah, some kind of enjoyment is nice. Have the rights, you think they do? But then what happened? Right now, the third world country, the big problem is there are so many people in the third world. If everybody want the living standard of the Americans, I don't think the earth can sustain that. So we cannot have sustainable development. If everyone's okay, like a big house. Taipei, we have some haozai right now, very big. But if everyone in Taiwan want that kind of haozai, and then we need, if you live in haozai, you need what? At least, central air condition, right? To go along with it, then if you have haozai, you're going to have your own parking space. Even though it is strange, in Taipei, like a parking space, just concrete. 水泥地一块，哇，400万台币。Okay, like you can do a lot with that, but 4 million Taiwanese dollars for this piece of concrete, huh? So, do you think those are necessary, or do we say no? We all need to say, third world, sorry, you're just born on the wrong time. the whole Earth is running out of resources, and the environment has been impacted a lot. So, just like you're not lucky, you were born late, so you cannot enjoy all this. Okay. Again, this is a question we need to ask ourselves, as well as the third world countries. How do you reconsider your lifestyle when they have witnessed everything? Give you another example. We grow up reading American department store catalog. That's a entertainment. I think there are countries, there are people living in China countryside, reading some of Taiwan's Sogo catalog will be an enjoyment of their life. 我小时候就是翻翻这些百货公司，美国什么 Sears 的目录，看起来也很不错，就是算什么有 entertainment 看一看原来他们有这种，我们都没有。Okay, so that's fine, right? But this is where I think we need to ask the question. Okay, going back to the economic growth and structural adjustment. Okay, structural adjustment, for example, really hurt women a lot. We mentioned that last time. And structural adjustment also means a lot of people have to gather the water, gather the firewoods, instead of all those become more expensive. So they have to gather them, and which will destroy environment. Okay, so those are some of the example of that. And if we look at these countries in the third world, what are some of the big problems in terms of the environment? We already talked about the desertification and deforestation. But there also another one is salinization. I like all this 画. So what is this one? 吕理员. Yeah, what is it? What is this one? We talk about land having, what is it? SALI 叫什么？盐化，中文叫什么？盐化就叫盐化，这么怪。So that's another one. And then we all know about the greenhouse, the global warming. So about the early 1990s, finally, we have the first Earth Summit in Rio. Where is Rio? 孙敏伦、尹静薇。Yeah, where is Rio? R-I-O, Rio. Appointment in a mile. Rio is going to be the place for the World Cup in 2014. Rio is going to be the location for Olympic game in 2016. The country? Brazil. Okay, so Rio is which one? Rio. 里约，有听过里约吗 ？Okay, 里约热内卢，里约 Rio. And remember this Rio means in Spanish what does that mean? Rio. River. Okay. So way back in the early 1992, okay, we have an Earth Summit there, and dealing with the environment. Okay, I think people begin to look at the environmental issues, feeling that it is important. So not just protecting the atmosphere in terms of greenhouse effect, not just combating the deforestation or the soil loss. Okay, no, 表层土的流失 soil loss as well, and then salinization and desertification. But also a very important thing in the past few years is called protecting the clean water. Okay, very difficult to have access of drinkable water. So it is important, especially in the third world. Okay, the access of water resources is very important. Okay, and then another one, even in the Earth Summit, they talk about depleting. You know, we have to fight to stop the depleting of the fish stock. What does that mean? Depleting of the fish stock. 黄伟仁，谢孟涵。Okay, what is fish stock? 鱼股票。Okay, so you deplete the fish stock, S-T-O-C-K, right? So what does that tell you, stock? Well, it's not 股票 here, so what does that mean? What's the other meaning for stock? Yeah, 存货. Okay, so what do we have? Are we running out of fish right now in Taiwan? No, you said, well, it's not going to happen in Taiwan because we have what? Marine agriculture in Taiwan. 中文叫什么 marine agriculture? 养殖业, okay? Right? So every fish, but how about tuna? Oh, 黑尾鱼好爽哦. Are we running out of the stock of that? You don't think so? So you continue to eat tuna? No, you don't. Okay. But do you think we are running out of stock, fish stock? Maybe. Why? Why? Because we have more people now than before? But this is a strange world. Okay. We said, we used to eat a lot of vegetable, and finally we are rich. We begin to eat meat. Huh? And then people say, oh, eating the red meat is not good for you. You need to eat the white meat. And then people begin to eat more fish. So maybe we should go back just to eat the fatty pork. But pork, hog industry also polluting. Do you know that? 养猪业. Very polluting as well. So now it's almost like you feel guilty because if you're sitting by an environmentalist saying, protect the environment, eat vegetarian, okay? I know you're eating the meat, and then the meat, especially in Taiwan, so fatty. My son first came back to Taiwan. He was, just came back as a 9th grader in Taiwan's Hsinchu, what do we call this? Science Park. experimental high school 科学园区这个什么实中啊实验中学 ，right？ Ninth grade 刚好是9年级是国中，在美国是高1嘛，台湾是国3。Coming back immediately, oh graduation trip， 啊就去参加毕业旅行，中文也不会讲几句，哦就去参加。And I asked him, I said, you know, what do you have? 跑到花莲去，他们，然后他说不晓得，他说那个 we are eating a shaking meat， 啊，就是那个肉拿出来，当他用筷子的时候搓一搓都会晃。A shaking meat， 大蹄膀。Okay, so now those are not very healthy. And then what do? You go back to eat the vegetable. And now, if you are enjoying all those shaking meat in front of a vegetarian, do you want to do it? No. Right? So the vegetarian is telling you, you need to protect the environment. So we move from meat to fish. We think we are eating healthy, but we are depleting the fish stock as well. So that's one big problem of depleting the fish stock. And I think tuna festival in Taiwan is one example of that. We are depleting. What else about the fish stock? Yellow fish. Do you know this fish? 黄鱼。有没有吃过黄鱼？有没有人吃过？ Usually it cooked with garlic, and then you cannot tell whether it's fish meat or garlic. They look alike. Okay, yellow fish look like a garlic meat. Okay. 它那个肉拿下来就差不多。Now, yellow fish used to have this size. Now you can only find this size. Okay, a lot of fish. So that's a big problem. We are getting a most important challenge we call biodiversity, right? What is biodiversity? 宋志奇 Yeah, what is biodiversity? Okay, so 生物多样性 can you give me an example of this? So what happens if we don't have that? The food chain problem, what else? Okay, so that's the food chain, right? But also in terms of economy, people said the best example of destroying the biodiversity in China is Mao Zedong's biggest contribution back in the 1950s. Mao Zedong said China has too much sparrows. How do you deal with the sparrow? 麻雀太多了，都没有凤凰。有没有凤凰？ China, I don't think, but 敲锣打鼓. Okay, like tomorrow, 12 o'clock, everybody bringing your, wok and, cookers and everything, right? 就是那个同一个时间一直敲，戴好耳塞啊，敲了麻雀全部都掉下来，受不了。结果死了麻雀才发现什么？黄豆什么很多虫都出来了。 Okay, so that's a big problem of destroying this, this natural ecology, we call, okay, 生态, right? So biodiversity is very important, ecology. And also, in addition to this, in Taiwan, in the past few years, we have company moving to China, right? Company moving to China. Anyone? What is the major reason? Like Foxconn, why are they moving to China? Cheap labor. Okay, everybody know the cheap labor. That's number one. Give me another reason. Okay, land. Okay, land is cheaper. Acquisition of bigger land, possible. Okay, so land, labor, factor, these are all factors of economic growth. Market is closer to the market, right? And yeah?
Because you can do whatever you want. Pollution in China.
Yeah, pollution in China, which means in Taiwan we have more regulation, right? Toxic waste in China, it's less monitored than in Taiwan. But in Taiwan we do. I mean, in Taiwan, we have some company very close to Taoyuan. There used to be a notorious company, 李长兴钢铁工厂 something. 李长什么？李长寿、李长荣钢铁工厂 right? Famous for pollution. And those people every day they're praying for typhoon. Because whenever typhoon came, you have the big rain. Oh, time to dump the waste. It's going to, go with the water. It's a little bit like one time I love typhoon as well, because I have an old car. I thought, whenever typhoon hit, I'm going to drive that car to put in the lowest possible place, and then it's going to be flooded, and then I can claim insurance. Okay? So this, because it's a broken car, it's an old one, right? So I mean, just want to wait for a good payback. So, but polluting companies in Taiwan, they love typhoon. When the water, flooding comes, just add some, toxic waste and just go out. Okay, so we have that toxic waste problem in Taiwan. And right here in Hsinchu, I'm sorry, Zhubei, which company polluted our land here in Zhubei? Please be 住在新竹，现在对新竹有点感情好吗？这块土地曾经被污染过。Okay, which company polluted Zhubei? Called RCA. Don't use anything produced by RCA. Okay, they also left workers from RCA with mysterious disease because of the toxic, cancer, all the problem. So toxic waste is a big problem, in Taiwan. People worry about pollution. People worry about waste. That's why we have fighting against nuclear waste as well. That's why we have, movement against the nuclear power as well. Okay, so toxic waste, pollution. So we have air pollution. Right now we don't, compared to 10 years ago. No, almost 15 years ago. When I first came back to Taiwan, Taipei sky is not blue. It's gray. Okay, and then when the industry, polluting industry, moved to China, Taipei sky is clear. So when I went to Guangzhou last December, I said, this is so familiar, so gray. You cannot see any blue sky. Okay, that's very similar to Taipei 20 years ago. Okay, pollution. So we have air pollution, we have toxic waste, land pollution, water being polluted. Used to say 淡水河 so polluted that fish cannot survive because there's no way for them to breathe. Okay, but now they do. Okay, so you find new stocks of fish in those rivers. So Taiwan is less polluted, but we have a big problem we call Ningbi. What is Ningbi? 张佩琪 N-I-M-B-Y. Actually, it's a Chinese word. But I think we pronounced wrong. This is translated by 严复，什么信达雅N-I-M-B-Y. What is it? Yeah. So what does NIMBY stands for? Not in my backyard. Okay, not in my backyard. Okay. So 以邻为壑 that's okay. Okay. We love the environment, right? Just put it somewhere else. Okay. So that's one of the problem in terms of water pollution, land pollution. You want to have industry. Isn't that strange in Taiwan? We want to have environment, but we also want investment. So a few years ago in Taichung, oh, Ms. Shi is from Taichung. Taichung lost a big investment about 10 years ago. Which one? A German investment, a chemical plant. Yeah, which one? Again, B-A-Y-E-R. Yeah, okay. So this company, right? So again, going back to sustainable development, do you want job or do you want pollution? People say, oh, you can have jobs without pollution. Really? So this is exactly the same issues. Okay, once you suffer enough of unemployment, you have a ghost town. You will say, welcome, pollute me. Okay, I have seen that. Okay, because in Taiwan you don't see, because we are a developing country, everything is moving. Now you go to the countryside, we call stagnation. You understand stagnation? 中文叫什么？迟滞不前啊。In America, you have so many Midwestern towns at the same like 50 years ago. And then the only factory shut down. That town is a ghost city. Okay, a lot of American small town being supported by one factory. So that one factory decided, I'm going to move to China, I'm going to move to India to have production there. The town lost the jobs, no jobs. And you said, well, but less pollution. People, they would say, welcome, we would like to have opportunity to be polluted so we can have some job. And back in the 1980s, Toyota began to invest in America to produce a Japanese car in America. And local people would say, I give you this tax break. Just like China in attracting Taiwan industry, they gave a lot of tax breaks. 中文叫什么？租借优惠是吧？租税优惠啊 ，OK， 税的缴税优。So those are the things they do. Why? You said, do you care about environment? I'm sorry. When a town is so poor, lost a lot of job, they will welcome being polluted. Okay. So this is a third world dilemma. You said you love the environment. I think in Taiwan, when is the strongest environmental movement in Taiwan? Is it the late 1980s and early 1990s? Okay, this is where we successfully blocked a lot of investment in Taiwan because we were rich enough. And now, at the time, Taiwan's unemployment rate is under 2%. Now, with 5 or 6% of unemployment rate, you would say, hey, we want cleaner environment. Sorry, a lot of people want jobs. So you can be a green person when the economy is good. But for a political leader, it will be difficult, especially in the third world, okay? So that's one big problem. And the other Earth Summit talk about is how different groups should be helped to achieve sustainable development. It's not just poor country, but disadvantaged groups, they cannot have sustainable development. Okay, so those are especially hard in the third world country in terms of indigenous people. Okay, again, this is a big issue about indigenous people. Indigenous people used to be able, for example, to hunt for something, but now some of the things being declared, protected species or endangered species, so you cannot hunt those animals or fish anymore. So how do they survive? You want to protect your environment, you want to protect biodiversity, but what happened to those people whose life depended on this? Like I was in Alaska. Alaska, we have people hunting polar bear. They eat all kinds of otters. Otter 中文叫什么？啊？就是 beaver， 不一样吧 ？Otter 也是 beaver， 不一样。And seal, OK， 他们也吃那个印章，什么是 seal？ 海狮还是海豹？海豹，海狮是什么？海象呢 ？Walrus 是那个有象牙、大象牙的，这是海象。OK，I cannot tell。然后每个海都好大，然后海马是好小，啊，海牛也很大嘛，对不对？那为什么海马这么小？有没有问题？海都很大呀。Okay, so anyway, the local people eat those things, but then some people will say, "Hey, those are endangered species, or need to be protected." So, but what about their tradition? So there is a conflict here, especially in terms of indigenous people, their lifestyle, okay, of eating fish, of eating certain kind of animals, wild animals, need to be protected. So those are issues for we call disadvantaged group and environment. Okay, and what are some of the unsustainable pattern of production? Unsustainable pattern of production. Unsustainable means once you produce that, you lay waste to this. Do we do that here in Taiwan? Producing certain things, but only for one shot. Okay. Okay. I think I can give you this one. I think it's unsustainable. Can we continue to draw the underground water to have the marine fishery? 我们台湾养殖业都靠地下水抽嘛。Can we sustain that? Probably not. Right, so that's a big problem. I think that's an unsustainable one. What else is unsustainable? Growing, we keep wanting to promote this coffee in Taiwan. 你们有没有喝过什么古坑咖啡？古坑好像那个咖啡可以养的人超过它 production 的10倍。怎么来的？就是这个咖啡运到古坑，再运出来就叫古坑咖啡。啊 ？It's a little bit like 有听过大闸蟹吧？我去看过，他们有个叫阳澄湖大闸蟹，就是 you grow the crab in other area, and then before they're going to be shipped to the market, just come in here. Like stay here for 1 day or 2 days. You touch the water of Yangcheng Lake. Okay, now you're Yangcheng. If that's the case, then the student don't go. You don't have to go to other university. Just come to Tsinghua and sit in the 水木. Eat here. Oh, I'm Tsinghua. Right? And you don't even have to go to Taiwan University. Just go to Taida Hospital. You say, oh, I'm here in Taida. So that's I think the problem of not sustainable. you have this underground production, underground water, and not sustainable production, and also the consumption pattern that need to be changed. How many of you in Taiwan insist on certain things that are not being grown in an environmental friendly way? For example, people insist on eating certain, in Taiwan, let's say biodiversity. 我们台湾还有没有人喜欢吃那种真禽？什么异类的那种，什么果子狸？有人吃那种东西吗？有没有还 I'm not sure. 因为清华 student obviously you're very boring, you know. But there are other people who have a life. You know, you don't have a life, but they have a life. They eat all kinds of things, right? But those things might not be good. You know, you are disrupting the biodiversity of the environment. Okay, so consumption, I think it's a big one. How do you change the consumption pattern so you can become more environmentally friendly? Okay, so those are the things. At least 2002, we have the second we call WWSD. No, I'm sorry, WSSD, World Summit on Sustainable Development. Okay, that was in Johannesburg. And I know next year, no, not next year, 2 years later, okay, 2012年, we are going to have another summit. This time, I think it's somewhere in Asia. And I know your professor, Wang Junxiu, will lead a team to go. Okay, so I'm also thinking about it. And this is an important issue. Okay, 1992, Rio, Brazil. 2002, okay, you have South Africa, right? Johannesburg. And then 2012. Every decade you will have concern about development, especially the third world. And this is an issue. Again, remember, this is how core and periphery really have conflict. This is how cores admonishing of the periphery. 就是训诫啊 admonishing. 训诫边陲国家 say, hell with you. I haven't had my life yet. You know, you're already having your life. Let me enjoy mine. Okay, so that's a big problem. We will have, if you have any question next week for the final, as in the class next week, we'll try to finish the chapter and the conclusion part. And then prepare for 2 weeks from today. You will have to turn in your country report as well as the final on that day. Okay, so it is what, June 15th? When is the Dragon Boat Festival? 16. 6月16号。那这样子你们回去，那老师出容易一点，让你们多吃点粽子。